1990s, many African countries had begun to shift back towards democratic governance after military rule had often worsened the circumstances they were supposed to correct. Incremental governance and economic reforms were yielding dividends, and many African economies started to make modest gains and improvement in quality of life with the return to democratic governance. This was certainly the case in the mid-70s through the mid-80s. Sweeping economic reforms catalyzed by various IMF and World Bank-backed programs turned our economic fortunes around. Shortage of basic commodities and a free-falling currency to achieve consistent economic growth and lift millions out of poverty. By the time democratic governance was fully restored in 1992 in Ghana, we have come to expect the continuation and furtherance of these gains that had been made under the revolution. Over the last 30 years, as a democratic country, there have been periods of strong economic performance, with some of the highest growth rates in the world. Indeed, one of the highest was 14.7% under the late President John Evans Atamils of blessed memory. However, this democratic transition may have lulled us into a false sense of security and accomplishment. Leading us to take our eyes off the ball. Economic mismanagement, corruption, and a host of other governance issues have returned, diminishing the hopes that many citizens have in government and state institutions. We have a unique situation with a very young population, unlike before when education was scant and rare. Today, millions of our young people have acquired education and are looking forward to opportunities for jobs and personal advancement. The 2021 Population and Housing Census revealed that a staggering 33% of Ghanaians between the ages of 15 and 24 are without jobs. The unemployment situation has worsened as several multinational companies have decided to relocate from Ghana to neighboring countries due to the deteriorating economic situation in our country. Ghanaian businesses are also collapsing as their operations are becoming unsustainable, buffeted by a rapidly depreciating currency, soaring interest rates, and high taxes and tariffs. Millions of educated young people without jobs or a source of livelihood represent a ticking time bomb for this nation. Such young people are likely to embrace any event that seems to liberate them from their current predicament. A restless, youthful population deprived of opportunities always offers a spark for instability and other forms of disruption to thrive, especially during times of economic crisis brought on by years of mismanagement and institutionalized corruption. The terrible economic situation has resulted in tremendous suffering for Ghanaians on a scale never witnessed before in our recent history. In November 2023, Ghana was ranked by the World Bank as one of the top 5 countries in the world with the highest food inflation. This situation has made food too expensive for many to afford. A recent Ghana Statistical Service publication revealed that up to 8.4 million Ghanaians, representing a quarter of our population, have gone for 1 day without food. This economic downturn has had a cascading impact on almost every aspect of our national life, with education, health, energy, and other sectors steeped in deep crisis. For instance, in the energy sector, despite our best efforts to revitalize the sector by ramping up generation capacity and setting up the Energy Sector Levy Act, nearly $2 billion is still owed to the various energy companies. And this has resulted in a return to what is popularly known as dumsum. And this is due to government's inability to buy unspeakable corruption, nepotism, brazen theft, waste of national resources, impunity, and general criminality have become the hallmarks of Ghana's current government. There is widespread despair and anguish amongst our people, leading to an active debate that I have followed recently on our social media about whether securing a foreign passport to do menial jobs in Europe is better than holding a PhD in Ghana.
Mr. Happiness.
It is a reflection of the adversity into which our nation has been plunged. Otherwise, there is no basis of comparison between a visa and a PhD. A PhD is about learning and education. A visa is an opportunity to travel and reside somewhere. But you forget that where you are residing, there are people with PhDs too. And the comparison is not between their PhDs and the fact that you are residing in their country. Learning and education is the most important resource a human being can acquire. And if you had a PhD and you had an opportunity to travel, you'll be a more high-value citizen in that country that you have gone to. And so there's no basis. It's like comparing apples and what fruit should I use? Normally they use oranges. Like apples and aluguntubi. And so that debate should not be taking place at all. It's taking place because of the crisis into which this government has plunged our country. And in the debate, I note that an overwhelming majority have opted for obtaining passports and a visa to travel. And this signals a complete loss of confidence and hope in the future of our country. What this teaches us is that a democracy that does not lead to qualitative improvements in the lives of the people holds no meaning for them. With the national spirit sinking to an all-time low and hopelessness engulfing our country, a change in governance and direction has become absolutely imperative. Therefore, I've decided to run for office as president in this election. I believe that my experience and disposition are needed at this moment of crisis to provide the kind of leadership that can address the myriad challenges we're facing as a nation. I'm keenly aware of the weight of expectation that will rest on the shoulders of the next government, given the dire economic situation in which we find ourselves. Real work must go into winning back the trust of our people, winning back their trust in democratic governance and its structures. In my campaign for the presidency this year, I focused on communicating well-considered policy options to restore strength to our economy and create jobs for our restless youth. Among these proposals are the 24-hour economic policy.
The game changer.
Which aims to use an incentives-based approach to catalyze round-the-clock economic activity for expansion and job creation. And for those who say they don't understand it, however much you explain, they say we don't understand it. Assume that this university was operating only from 8 o'clock to 5 in the evening. How many students will be able to study here?
That's the question.
Today, this university has about 2,000 students, because while some are closing from the day lectures, others are coming in the evening and studying. And so it allows them to take on more students than the capacity of this university otherwise would have taken if they were running only a day session. It makes it simple to understand. If you have one factory, it can produce only a certain amount of products from 8 o'clock to 5. And it can employ only a certain amount of people. If you want to use the same capacity to employ more and produce more, then once shift closes, another shift comes in and continues working. I don't know what is so difficult to understand about this. And we're saying that we will give them the incentives to do it. It's going to be the private sector. You have a factory and you want to run the 24-hour economy. You want to sign on to the 24-hour economy. We will give you incentives to be able to do so. If you need credit, we will assist you with credit. If you need tax breaks, we will assist you with tax breaks. We will provide you with security so that you can work without fear of being attacked. We will provide transport services so that people can get to work at any time of the day. For all those who have traveled, you see 24-hour economy at work in all the countries that you go to. Those countries never sleep. They are working day and night. And we're saying that with the crisis that we're confronted with in Ghana, if we continue a single shift system, it's going to take us decades to turn this economy around. And so we need to run faster. And the only way we can run faster is to add on to our productivity. And we can only add on to our productivity if we work day and night.